Yo guys, what's up? It is Ripe again, back with episode 26 of our Reddit series, and I just wanted to give a quick shout out to all my Ripe stars for your continuous support, and the growth lately has been absolutely amazing, and we are almost at 1,500 subscribers, and I have a feeling that we're gonna reach 2,000 by the end of next week. So now all you gotta do is sit back, relax, and enjoy some Entitled Parents. Entitled Mom lets her son almost ruin a wedding and then throws herself a pity party. The kid from the title is my husband's nephew, and we love him a lot, especially when we watch him ourselves, but unfortunately, his very entitled mom makes our relationship with this new nephew very difficult. My husband's sister-in-law is the definition of an entitled mom. Her son is 7 years old and very undisciplined. He is spoiled as hell, bullies other kids, and will say mean a-hole things like call people fat or ugly. The entitled mom, of course, thinks that every time he's a little a-hole, it is hilarious and cute. She never teaches him respect and lets him say whatever he wants, and he throws a lot of tantrums. As an entitled mom, she also feels that she should get special privileges for being one of billions of people to have a kid, and she uses her son as an excuse to make people feel bad for her. We were at a wedding this past weekend, sitting in the center of the front row. Before the ceremony, the nephew was running around the altar and he almost knocked down the podium. While he's doing this, the mom's just laughing and says that he's hopped up on sugar from all the candy he ate on the way to the wedding. She does absolutely nothing to stop him from ruining the altar, so my husband had to grab him and put him on his lap. He then tried to get him to calm down before the ceremony starts. My husband puts him in the seat between him and the entitled mom, and his nephew starts throwing a tantrum. He slumps in his chair with his arms crossed around his chest and makes the "I'm a spoiled little brat throwing a tantrum" face, which is basically his version of the resting Karen face. He says very loudly several times that he does not want to be there and is bored. He kept doing that throughout the ceremony while also stomping his feet and sighing loudly. Once again, the entitled mom does nothing except laughing like it's the cutest thing in the world.
My spoiled terror is ruining someone's wedding. Isn't that adorable? Ha ha.
I was so embarrassed to be sitting close to that disrespect. But it does not end here. During the reception, my husband and I are having fun dancing while his nephew is running all over the place. The entitled mom makes half-hearted attempts to call him over to her, but he does not listen and continues to keep running around and screaming. She approaches us and asks if we can watch him so she can dance because she's so tired of looking after her son. By the way, which she has not been doing at all. And she wants some mommy time. We tell her, no, we are here to have fun and it's her child, so it's her responsibility to watch him. And then the pity party starts.
You cannot understand how hard it is to be a single mom constantly having to watch a small boy. I get no time without him and I deserve to have fun.
My husband's brother is no longer in the picture, but I don't want to go into details.
You don't have kids and can go out and have fun whenever you want. You cannot understand all the sacrifices I make.
Yes, I agree, and I have no desire to understand. During the reception, her son tries to play with another kid who's smaller than him. They talk for a few seconds until the nephew pushes him twice and the other kid starts crying and runs to his mom. Turns out the nephew was trying to force the kid to play tag, and when he did not want to, the nephew got mad and pushed him. But when the EM finds out, she does not tell her son to apologize and makes no attempt to tell him that it is not right to bully someone just because he did not get his way. She blames the other kid for not wanting to play with her perfect son. A few minutes later, the other kid walks by, trips and falls. My sister-in-law starts laughing and says,
"That's what he gets for telling on my son."
We all know how this goes. The EM's stupid kids basically poop gold, but she cannot stand other kids. The worst part is that the EM is desperately seeking a man because, in her words, she wants to have an army of kids before it's too late. Yes, that's right, she wants to pop out an army of crap balls to ruin the weddings, throw tantrums, bully other kids, and feel entitled to be the biggest pricks on the playground. Can you imagine that? A Karen that gets an army of demon spawns, which might slowly but surely take over the world. Let's try to create a protection barrier made out of ripe stars in the comments so we can defend ourselves against the Karen invasion. Better be safe than sorry. The time a cheap EM asked me to give up my seat on a flight for her toddler. Twice. To preface, I don't really understand why parents travel to Las Vegas with their kids. Do they actually think they're going to have a good time? Are they drunk on that
being a parent is the best thing that ever happened to me
Kool-Aid? Casinos are filled with cigarette smoke and loud noises, which are verified health hazards. And by the way, you cannot imagine how hard that is to pronounce as a German native speaker. Anyway, this nearly packed red-eye flight had me in an aisle seat, which was my preference, directly across from my partner, also in an aisle seat. To my left in the middle seat is an entitled mom with her oversized baby or toddler whining on her lap. I really don't know what the F they are feeding them nowadays. I made accidental eye contact with the EM, who suddenly started thinking that this is her in with me to ask if I can move and give up my seat so that, I kid you not, her toddler can have somewhere to sit. I told her no, thank you. At the time, I had bad flight anxiety and I already found it challenging not to be side by side with my partner. And damn it, it just dawned on me that I should have asked if she would switch seats with my boyfriend. As the boarding finishes, a flight attendant suddenly kneels over and whispers if I would be interested in moving seats. I told her not without my partner, so it's a no-go as only one other seat is available. Moreover, it's a crappy window seat with a full row. She nods and tells me that's perfectly fine and walks away for takeoff. We are taxiing now and I've already had a few side nudges from the fuzzy kid. I am holding hands with my boyfriend directly across from me. The takeoff is when my anxiety was at its peak. Then I hear,
"Listen, could you please move seats for him? He's too heavy to hold for this long and he won't be able to fall asleep."
Are you kidding me? No, I already said no. She looks away, pissed off, and you know, because it's my fault that she decided to be a cheapskate who held out hope that someone with no backbone would pity her and move instead. I despise women who think society should give them special treatment because they are moms. Newsflash, raising a kid is not anything pioneering, and just because you're a mom doesn't mean you're a good mom. Not to mention responsible parents buy separate seats for their kids, and if they cannot afford it, then they don't travel. I mean guys, honestly, the concept is simple. If you need 2 seats, you buy 2 seats. Does not only apply to entitled parents, but also if you have pets or if you are bigger, then you just might have to buy another seat. Kid totally ruined an otherwise incredibly exciting historical tour featuring entitled parents. This is gonna be long, but I am so pissed off, I just had to get it out to a community who would understand. Recently, because of the good weather, my family and me decided to go and see a historical castle/museum with a narrated tour of the dungeons. The tickets were around £50 and extra £7 for the tour, so this was not exactly a cheap visit. Immediately upon getting to the first exhibit, there's a woman crouching, holding her kid and talking mega loudly to him about a picture. She's blocking the only way through, so I ask her politely and she just gestures to this tiny little space between her and the wall as if that's more than enough. We ended up nudging her on our way through. Everything goes perfectly after that and the exhibits were amazing and the castle was beautiful. The tour time comes up and we wait and it's only a small amount of people and the guide looks really excited because it means he can run over the time and tell us all the grisly details. Cue my excitement and morbid curiosity. But apparently Murphy's Law kicks in because this dude sidles up to the group before we leave together with his 5-year-old kid. The guide asks him if he has a tour ticket. The dad looks confused and says no. And the guide says you need one to take the tour. This kid pipes up and I shit you not says, "I'm a child, so it doesn't count, right?" And I'm like, oh boy, clearly that has been used and has worked before. The guide holds his ground and the daddy goes to the counter to pay. The woman behind the counter is smitten with the kid, but the guide is like, cut them off because the tour needed to start. So she tells the kid, "You made it just in time," even though they did not, and for some painstaking reason they get their tickets. Holy shit you guys, this effing kid. Even recalling this memory makes me exhausted. From the get-go, this kid just does not shut up. We walk the steps down into the dungeon and he's talking with his dad and I'm like, okay, that's fine. But this conversation continues right up until we get into the dungeon. The guide starts his talk and the dude knows his history. He is very clearly in love with it, which is pretty dope. But this kid, every second he starts asking questions, loudly interrupting the guide. I'm talking about midway through the talk, just a loud, invasive questions or even stupid commentary. Where's the daddy to rein in his little goblin? The most this guy does is the gentlest shh, and the kid does not even listen. And then the dad interrupts the guide while he is speaking to make some stupid comment. At least I know where the kid got it from. The whole damn tour, 30 minutes of interrupted talk, and the kid kicked the wooden bench he sat on, dangled off of the seats and touched the damn medieval keys hanging up on display. The guide couldn't even talk about the grisly stuff because there was a minor. I'm like, man, we really paid £7 for a damn kid to be a brat with his complicit father as background noise for about half of an hour. Even my parents were pissed and they love kids. We get out and talk about how ridiculous this kid was, jokes were had, and the rest of the day balances out from the horror of the tour. We are almost at the end of the exhibits now, and what do we see? The effing mother from the start with the kid and dad from the tour. At this point, I am thinking I'm in some kind of horrific fever dream. I could not even believe a whole family of entitlement was just existing like this. We watch as the mother takes up the whole floor yet again, starts ushering people out of the way for photo opportunities with her seagull of a child, while the daddy applauds them with,
"Good job, man."
I'm just, oh, what the actual bollocks was that even? I have never in my entire life met an entire family dedicated to being so socially tone deaf. Thanks for reading. Hope none of you ever experienced such frustration. Hey, did you guys ever have an encounter with an entire entitled family? If you have something interesting, please post it in the comments or on our subreddit r/ripestories so I can read it out. Alright guys, that was the last Entitled Parents story for today, with more church drama. By the way, probably starting tomorrow, I might switch it up and use a different subreddit for the bonus content. Church commits fraud and fires my dad. This is my biggest r/church drama story, so this is going to be a long story with a lot of necessary backstory, so get ready. The cast is me, Dad, EH for entitled husband, who's a church leader, EW for entitled wife, who also works at the church, OL for other leaders, and P, one of the crazy sweet church ladies. So to begin, I don't go to the same church as my parents. I only know what my parents have told me because there was no way I wanted to stick around, plus I would just start attending a church I really liked. It all really started during one of the first few Sundays where my dad had been there. I came home from the church that day to hear that my dad is talking to my mom. It turned out one of the ladies of the church actually left the church because my dad had mentioned in 2 separate sermons, as examples for whatever he was discussing, that he did not like that his mom would make him cakes for his birthday, when he had told her not to. By the way, he's been doing a lot of work on controlling his eating, so good for you, Dad. Also, he was not the biggest fan of kids, and I think he is where I get it from. She was apparently so appalled that she left the church. However, this lady was apparently crazy, so no harm done, right? Well, this is only the start. Then comes weeks and weeks of fussing from EH and EW about things my dad was doing wrong and that they did not like the changes he was making. The thing is, one of my dad's specialties is working with struggling churches and helping them get involved in the community and starting to get people back into the church. Well, this was a church that has been slowly dying for a long time and hired my dad, saying that they were ready for a change. But as soon as Dad started putting out ideas which threatened their authority, and by the way, they had recently fired a pastor and were basically leading everything the whole time, EH and EW immediately went with,
"We have always done it this way,"
or
"So and so prefers this."
and all sorts of other irritating excuses that were just dad and them trying to keep their authority. My dad was aware that he wasn't always right, so if needed he would change things, but he also knew a lot of the things EH and EW were doing to help were just power grabs and did nothing for the church. One thing they would do was hold these weird little service events, which they were adamant about because
so many people come.
But it was only family and friends and those people that don't come every Sunday. EH and EW were also very rude and petty. They called my dad every 5 seconds with pointless problems that he had no business handling or no need to handle. When he also hired my cousin to help with office work, EW would always call my cousin to bitch about the tiniest and most pointless mistakes and changes on things like the church bulletin. My dad also created a Facebook to promote the church to people, and EW got very mad, often taking down my dad's posts and saying that my dad should not be allowed to monitor the church Facebook and that he was absolutely disgusting on Twitter, even though he mostly tweets about sports, and said that he should not be allowed access to the church Facebook and tried to ban him from all social media. Obviously, that did not work out well. Not only that, if EW and EH didn't get their way with my dad, they would go up to him and say,
"Some people."
We're basically talking about him behind his back, and when he would ask who it was so he could talk to them personally, you know, like adults, they would say,
"We cannot tell you, they told us in confidence."
Which basically makes me and my family think that most of their claims were bullshit. Although it was not just them, they were the biggest contributors. A lot of the OL also agreed with EW and EH and did and said all sorts of things to make my dad's life miserable. One of them was incredibly racist, and one Sunday, during Sunday school, close to Christmas, Dad talked to a group about how Jesus would have looked considering the history and location. Basically, he was poor Middle Eastern carpenter, not white as often depicted. The OL blew up about how my dad was spreading lies about the Bible. Similarly, Dad had a lesson with some kids, about 4, 12 to 13-year-olds, about what it meant to be baptized. They wanted to learn more, so he created a mini Sunday school class and was actually enjoying getting to talk to the kids who were genuinely interested. Well, EW, EH and OL found out and quickly shut it down, seemingly for no reason at all. A lot of them were also very picky with the volunteer work my dad offered to the church. They liked the food pantry, but only for the neighborhood, which was upper middle class. They liked working with a local Catholic church, but didn't like working with the people there. They also did not like working at the biggest homeless shelter in our area because their former pastor also goes to the church associated with them. This one could be understandable, except my dad was only asking for them to do things like help with the soup kitchen, or not go to church there and sing Kumbaya with the former pastor. Essentially, they claimed to be okay with charity and volunteering, but only if it was something they liked. But, and this is the part of the story that was the absolute final straw for my dad, and I want to remind everyone that I'm getting most of this as a very limited story from my dad. He has not even told me half of the insanity from them and does not plan on telling me everything. Apparently, some of it gets pretty nasty, but this is the limited information that I have of it. The church was having a lot of financial trouble, so my dad decided to help with the budgeting. EW, EH and OL were basically saying that my dad had no right to get involved with the finances. And they weren't posting the financial reports, weren't talking to the church members about it, and were basically doing a lot of other things that could land them in some serious hot water legally. My dad was so frustrated that he finally decided to leave, but he did not have the time because the OL decided to fire him, even making him sign a no trespassing agreement, which was not even technically legally enforceable, and made him move his entire office out the same day. Dad also told me that EH, EW and OL had gone through about 4 pastors in the past 4 years, making them all sign this agreement. Since being fired, my dad had to talk with a lawyer to make sure he wasn't going to be in trouble for any of their illegal shenanigans, cause he did not know about any of this until a few months ago, so he had no clue that this was even going on, and I honestly just feel really bad because my dad has been very disheartened about where to go from here. After he left though, one of the ladies, P, left a scathing comment on the church Facebook calling out EH, EW and OL and about how horribly they were treating people and how awful they were to my dad. Of course, the EW took it down in moments and Dad found the Sunday after he left and they only had about 9 people left at the church while he had brought attendance up to at least 60 people. Take that, EH and EW. Don't come after my dad. People will fight back for him. Someone in the comments mentioned that this church sounds like the episode of Kitchen Nightmares where Gordon Ramsay is at Amy's baking company. And honestly, I gotta agree with that. Who the hell would want to be in the church with leaders like that? Anyway guys, that was the ripe content for today. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. And either way, thanks for your support and see you tomorrow.